As part of our commitment to the Advanced Selling Podcast, we want to bring guest experts on from a variety of different fields, primarily, though, people who are working with or involved somehow with sales and marketing teams. And so we have a very special guest today, someone who I've known for a long time, Jill Konrath. Welcome, Jill.
Well, thanks for having me, Bill. It's good to be here.
Jill is, you can find Jill at Jill Konrath, KONRATH.com, and she's also got some things on her website that we want to make sure we announce a little bit later in the podcast. But Jill, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing successful sales teams do, what they're good at. Just give me your perspective on what makes people and teams successful today.
That's a good question because we're really dealing with a very changing business environment. We're dealing with customers who are so much more educated than they were in the past, and also people who have a significantly lower tolerance level to being sold. They don't need to meet with a salesperson for any reason because everything's available online, and so they're really very discriminating against how they're using their time. The economy in the last couple of years has made that even worse because companies are understaffed for the sheer amount of work that has to get done in the time frame. So what am I seeing that's working? I'm seeing a need for salespeople to be perceived as invaluable resources to their customers. And companies that invest in developing their salespeople as somebody who can contribute value are succeeding much more than those who think their salespeople's job is simply to communicate the value of their product and service. And by that, I mean that they're actually training their salespeople on what are customers, what's going on in the industries that they're calling on, or what are the decision makers that they're calling on struggling with on a daily basis? What are their primary strategic initiatives? What are they really trying to achieve? What do they currently have in place as their status quo? And how will making a change be better for them? So I see the better sales forces are investing time bringing their salespeople up to speed to make them worth meeting with and to have them smart enough to bring ideas to the customers that can be of value to them.
I know you and I have talked about this before, but as you were talking, I was thinking back to a prior conversation a few years ago. We talked about the whole idea of what is the conversation that a salesperson today has with the prospect. To me, is very different. It used to be the conversation really dealt around the product or the benefits or the features or the capacity of the product, the technical loads, all that stuff. And what you're saying, and I totally agree with, is that conversation has to change to be more about the customer and their strategic initiatives, and changing the conversation in many ways will change the outcome.
Changing the conversation is critical, and it fundamentally changes the outcome. And most sales organizations aren't giving their salespeople the depth of understanding they need and to be the valuable person and contributor to the conversation, to ask the insightful questions, to know what problems and issues and challenges the client is facing. Most salespeople are woefully unprepared for that, except those in successful organizations.
So tell me a little bit about, I know you get involved in marketing, and you have a perspective where you can see sales and marketing and how they should work together. Tell me some of either the pitfalls that people fall into, or how should, maybe I'll frame the question this way, what is good marketing today, and how should a organization really think about marketing differently maybe than they did years ago?
Yeah, I have a lot to say on that, and for many years I worked in the gap between sales and marketing because I worked with companies on how to launch new products successfully into the marketplace and how to ramp up speed really fast. What I have found is that marketing has thought in the past that their job was brand recognition and also product development and getting everything ready, and then they have thrown things over the wall to the salespeople and say, go get them. That has never been successful. It's been traditional but not necessarily successful, but with today's discriminating customers, it is woefully inadequate, I would say.
Yeah.
And the companies that are doing well are understanding that marketing is more about, these days, it's more about creating exceptional content that is of high value to the customers or their potential customers. And I think educational content is the crucial nature of what we're talking about. Now, that can be delivered in a gazillion different ways. But the website should be a hub of rich information resources. They could be checklists. It could be articles, how-to articles, how to get into a sales call, how to write an email subject line. I'm talking about salespeople how-tos. It could be 3 things that you want to consider, before you call a client. It could be a video. It could be a podcast. It could be a case study, a white paper. These are things that our customers want, and when these things are on our websites, they do a couple things. They first of all attract potential customers into our world, the world that we live in, and they say, I'd like to find out more. So not only are they attractions, but they're also incredible sales tools for people who are doing outbound selling. For example, if there was a white paper, for example, or an ebook on how to do something that would be of interest to my prospect, rather than trying to sell something on the phone or to try to get an appointment to talk about my stuff, I might be able to just send out an email and say, hi, Bob, I know that as the VP of Sales, one of your chief concerns is how to do new client acquisition. Here's a video, that's a 2-minute video that you might find really helpful. Take a look at it and let's see if it makes sense to talk. But it's leveraging the content
Perfect.
on the website that gives salespeople the ability to be intelligent resources.
I hope that our listeners are really taking notes on this, because Brian and I spend a lot of time on being the expert, being a resource. How you're positioned matters, and what you're talking about here is positioned as someone who's invaluable to the customer. But yet sometimes if I'm a salesperson and I go to my marketing team and say, hey, we need to do this, I'm probably going to hear, hey, you know what? We know what marketing is. We're going to do some more brochures. How about that?
Right.
How would you recommend, this question wasn't one that we talked about prior, but do you have any thoughts on if a listener is actually a salesperson, not a marketing person, but a sales frontline person, how might they go to the marketing team and make this recommendation?
Well, first of all, let me just say I would not suggest a salesperson go right to marketing, making the demands. I don't think that's politically...
I didn't say demands. I said recommendation.
Recommendations either.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's a strategic initiative that needs to be discussed, and it should be talked about in the sales organization as a whole. And the sales organization should really be approaching marketing, talking about the change in decision maker and what is effective. And the truth of the matter is, the biggest thing that they can pull out is how their own marketer is making decisions and what it impacts them. And their own marketers, when they're leveraging and looking for resources, they're out there online searching for things. They get to websites, and what do they look for when they're on the websites? They look for good educational content.
Yeah.
So the reality is their marketers are just like their customers. And if they can help their marketers realize that this is not about brochures or anything, this is about what we're doing as buyers and what our buyers are doing or our prospects are doing and how they're researching us and judging our competence. And they judge our competence by what our website says and the valuable content that we share that's relevant to them, not about here's everything you need to learn about our new Widget 101 or here's the detailed program specifications of our wonderful training program. That's only important if somebody has actually decided that they're going to that they're going to be making a decision. That's the information they need to know at the very
last,
end of the yeah. And there's this whole part ahead where somebody's saying, should I make a change? Does it make sense to make a change? Is this the best way to be doing things? Or we have to achieve these goals. Do I need to have anything else in place in order to get there? And that's what the website should be, an incredible hub. And the salespeople need to be taught how to leverage it as well, because that gives them the double bang for their buck. It becomes a sales tool as well as a marketing asset.
Excellent. Outstanding. By the way, we're speaking with Jill Konrath, Konrath at jillkonrath.com. On your website, you've got a prospecting kit. Tell us a little bit about that and how we might go about downloading that, and maybe even just a quick note on why you decided to create it, because I'm assuming that you saw a prospecting need out there. Tell us a little bit about that.
I saw an immense prospecting need. I saw people that are out there. And by the way, if you can't get your foot in the door, you can't make a sale. So, that's where it all starts. And the fact is that most of the strategies that we've been taught in the past are ineffective when you're dealing with a crazy busy person who sits with her finger on the delete button all the time. And if we take a look at our own behaviors, when we are being contacted by people, when we're listening to our voicemail message or reading our email messages, we're also sitting with our finger on the delete button. And we're deleting people as fast as humanly possible, and we really take a perverse pleasure in doing that. It feels so good to get rid of them. People intellectually know that their clients are crazy busy, and yet they have done minimal things to change their own behaviors to be effective with a customer who's sitting with their finger on the delete button. So that's why I created the prospecting toolkit. And inside the toolkit are 4 things. Number one, there's a 45-minute audio that people in sales teams can use and individuals can use that really talks about the crazy busy person and how things are different when you're selling to this individual. There's also what I call the buyer's matrix, which allows salespeople, it's a format that allows salespeople to, or encourages salespeople to take an in-depth look at their targeted customers, targeted decision makers, and to really understand what's going on in their business, which helps contribute to their being an invaluable resource. I also have the value proposition generator, which helps you create messaging that your prospects will listen to and resonate with. And finally, there is the 9 tips to get people to return your phone calls, one sheet page. So that's what they get on the prospecting toolkit.
Outstanding. And so they can go to Jill Konrath, and it'll be apparent where they can download that.
It'll be apparent where it is, and all they have to do is just sign up, and it's totally free.
All right. Jill, I appreciate you being on today. This has been a real treat, and hopefully we can do this again maybe once a year at least. We really appreciate your time today, and thanks for being a guest.
Glad to be here, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas with the world.
No problem. Bye-bye.